Was Sola Scripture a workable doctrine? Hi, this is Ryan Zell. We will prove that Sola Scripture was not viable for the first 1500 years of Christianity. Protestants hold that the Bible is the supreme authority and sole arbiter regarding matters pertaining to the faith. This is the doctrine of Sola Scripture, or the Bible alone. So how were people saved for the first 15 centuries of Christianity when most persons weren't able to read? And if they could read, could never own a Bible due to the cost. In the lower technological world prior to the Industrial Revolution, very few persons learned to read. In medieval Europe, the literacy rate held steadily at around 10% until the age of the printing press. By the 1600s, this climbed to 14% due to the lower cost of books. This literacy rate held steady for the next 150 years until 1750. Most persons who could read resided in the cities and towns, while the vast majority of persons resided in the countryside. It was only with the onset of the Industrial Revolution that the literacy level began to climb as a more literate workforce was required. Even if one learned to read, the cost of owning a Bible was prohibitive until the invention of the printing press reduced the cost of production. The cost of a Bible prior to the age of the printing press was equivalent to the cost of 3 to 5 middle-class houses. Why was the cost of Bibles so high? First, there was the parchment or vellum, which needed to be procured. That is the skin of around 425 calves, sheep, or deer, which would need to be processed into parchment. Each skin took a month to process and was a labor-intensive process. Second was the cost of archival quality iron gall inks. The inks had to be processed from gall oak nuts. Third was the cost of hiring the services of a scribe and for a year who could write clearly. The professional scribe was a specialty profession during the Middle Ages. An upper middle class wage would have to be paid out to the scrivener. Fourth was the cost of hiring the services of a reader. Expect to pay a middle class wage for the services of the reader. And then there was the cost of renting out a Bible for the purposes of copying. Bibles were always in short supply, and finding one sitting around was not very likely. In 2002, 2 Bibles were produced using the medieval methods. The cost of producing the 2 Bibles was $10.5 million US. The reason Bibles were chained to the podiums and lecterns during the Middle Ages was the same reason one would not leave $2 million in banknotes sitting out on the lawn. Sola Scriptura could never have been a viable doctrine for the first 1500 years of Christianity. People were not being saved by the Bible because 9% of the people could not read, and those who could read could not afford a Bible. How was anyone saved for the first 350 years of Christianity where there was no Bible? For the first 350 years of Christianity, there were no standardized Bibles. How was anybody saved where they did not have a standardized Bible? So for the first 350 years, there were no standardized Bibles. There was no agreement as to what the canon of the Bible should be, and even the church fathers could not agree as to what was Scripture. There, however, was one church which used the correct canon of Scripture, the churches in the city of Rome. When the formal canon of the church was decided upon, it was in this church's canon which was ultimately canonized. No one was being saved by the Bible in early Christianity because there was no Bible per se. So, how were people saved? Certainly not by the Bible, because Christ did not give us a Bible. What he did found is a church upon the person of Peter, to which he promised would never be prevailed upon by the infernal, and gave the authority to make the rules and educate, and these rules will be bound in heaven. That church founded by Christ has existed since the time of Christ, or else Christ lied. The church founded by Christ has never fallen into apostasy, or else Christ lied. That church founded by Christ is a visible entity which has been saving Christians for 2,000 years, or else Christ lied. Protestants then have to ask themselves, is Christ a liar? If you believe that Christ spoke the truth, why are you still a Protestant?